The ship docked with a gentle hiss. Ambassador Daniel Carter straightened his uniform jacket and took a deep breath. Through the viewport, the massive Proxima station gleamed against the backdrop of stars. This was humanity's moment. First official, contact with the Galactic Council. Ready, sir? Heather Walsh stood at his side, her tablet containing all the diplomatic briefs they had spent months preparing. Carter nodded. As ready as anyone can be when representing 8 billion humans, to an alliance of 17 alien species. Security Officer Frank Simmons checked his sidearm one last time before securing it in a diplomatic lockbox. Council regulations prohibited weapons in the chambers. Remember, sir, standard diplomatic protocols. I'll be 3 steps behind you, at all times. The airlock cycled open. A delegation of aliens waited in the reception area. At the front stood a tall, slender being with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer under the station lights. Ambassador Carter, the alien said in perfect English. I am Ziv Korath, High Arbiter of the Galactic Council, on behalf of all civilized. Worlds welcome to Proxima Station. Carter stepped forward and offered the greeting gesture they had practiced, right hand open at chest level. High Arbiter, Earth thanks you for this opportunity. We come seeking friendship and alliance. The human delegation followed their alien counterparts through wide corridors, bustling with beings of various shapes and sizes. Some moved on tentacles, others floated above the ground. The air smelled of strange spices and industrial cleaners. The Council has assigned your delegation temporary quarters in the diplomatic wing, Ziv Korath explained. Tomorrow at 800 station time, you will present Earth's petition for alliance consideration. Heather leaned close to Carter. They're moving faster than expected. Good, Carter whispered back. Less time for the opposition to organize. Their quarters were comfortable if sparse. 3 separate sleeping chambers connected to a common meeting area. As soon as the door closed behind their alien escorts, Simmons pulled out a small device and swept the room. 2 listening devices, he reported after a minute. Standard Council design. Nothing we didn't expect. Carter nodded. Leave them. Say nothing you wouldn't want the Council to hear. He walked to the viewport that offered a spectacular view of the space station's central hub. They built this place to impress newcomers, show off their technological superiority. It's working, Heather admitted, staring at a passing ship at least 3 times the size of their own vessel. That night, none of them slept well. Carter reviewed his notes until his eyes burned. Earth's demands would seem aggressive to some. Council members, full technological exchange rights, territorial sovereignty guarantees, and equal voting privileges despite being newcomers. But humanity couldn't accept less, not after what their deep space probes had discovered about how the Council treated junior members. Morning arrived with a chime from the room's communication system. A blue-skinned aide with 4 arms escorted them to the Council chamber, an enormous circular room with tiered seating surrounding a central speaking platform. Impressive, Simmons muttered as they entered. Representatives from 17 spacefaring civilizations watched the humans with expressions ranging from curiosity to open hostility. Carter recognized the species from their briefings: the reptilian draconians, the crystalline Vex collective, the gaseous Mariki contained in special environment suits, and there, in the upper tier, the empathic Elorans, rumored to be potential allies to humanity. Ziv Korath gestured Carter toward the central platform. The Council recognizes Ambassador Daniel Carter of Earth. You may present your petition. Carter stepped forward, feeling the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. The platform rose slightly, bringing him to eye level with the middle tier of seated Council members. Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Council, he began, his voice steady. Earth comes before you, not as a supplicant, but as a potential partner. Humanity has watched the stars for centuries, prepared for this moment for generations. He outlined Earth's proposal: alliance based on mutual respect and equal exchange. As he spoke, he noticed several Council members leaning together, whispering. The Draconian representative's scales darkened, a sign of anger according to their briefings. When he finished, there was silence. Then a harsh, rasping voice cut through the chamber. High Arbiter, if I may speak. A Draconian rose from his seat. I am General Cragg of the Draconian Imperium. This human speaks as if they are our equals. Their species has barely mastered basic interstellar travel. Another voice joined in, this one with the metallic quality of the Vex Collective. Their demands are extraordinary. Equal technological exchange, security guarantees, they offer little and demand much. Carter had expected resistance, but the hostility seemed more coordinated than their intelligence had suggested. He maintained his diplomatic smile. Earth understands the Council's caution. But consider what humanity brings. Unique scientific approaches, rich cultural diversity, and yes, significant military capability should the Council ever need it. At the mention of military capability, the chamber erupted in murmurs. Ziv Koreth raised a hand for silence. Ambassador Carter, the Council appreciates Earth's petition. We will now deliberate in private session. Please return to your quarters. You will be summoned when we reach a decision. As they were escorted out, Carter caught the eye of an Aloran representative who gave him what appeared to be a warning glance. Back in their quarters, Simmons paced. That went poorly. They're afraid, Heather said, checking her data. Our intelligence was right. They expected us to be more submissive. Carter was about to respond when a chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal a tall, blue-skinned alien with Council security insignia. Ambassador Carter, the alien said formally. I am Security Chief Kralvox. The Council requests your presence for additional questioning. Carter glanced at Simmons, who gave a barely perceptible nod. They had prepared for this possibility. Of course, Carter replied smoothly. Just me or my entire delegation? Just you, Ambassador. Standard procedure. As Carter moved to follow, Kralvox. He paused beside Heather, pretending to check something on her tablet. His finger tapped a specific sequence. An emergency code. I shouldn't be long, he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. After they left, Heather immediately activated her secure communication link to their ship. USS Horizon, this is Walsh. Diplomatic situation deteriorating. Carter has been taken for questioning. Activate communication protocols. On the bridge of the USS Horizon, Communications Officer Samantha Mitchell received the message. Minutes later, a second transmission came through, this one directly from Carter's hidden emergency transmitter. The message was brief. Protocol Midnight. They know. Mitchell's blood ran cold. She turned to First Officer Gregory Howard. Sir, we have an emergency situation. Ambassador Carter has activated Protocol Midnight. Howard's face paled. Alert Earth immediately. The Council knows about our defenses. In the depths of Proxima Station, Daniel Carter was led into a small windowless room where several Council representatives waited. The door sealed behind him with an ominous hiss. Ambassador, Ziv Koreth said, his tone now cold. We have some serious concerns about information Earth has concealed from the Council. Carter's face remained impassive, but internally he knew this was no longer a diplomatic mission. It was now a fight for survival. 3 days passed. Daniel Carter sat alone in a small cell deep within Proxima Station. The room had no windows and only a single door made of some strange metal he couldn't identify. They had taken his uniform jacket, his shoes, and all his personal items. The bright white light never dimmed, making it impossible to tell day from night. The door slid open. Security Chief Kralvox entered with 2 guards. Your interrogation is complete, Ambassador, Kralvox said. The Council has reviewed our findings and reached a decision. You will now face the tribunal. Carter stood slowly. His body ached from the long hours of questioning. I demand to speak with my delegation. Your aide, Heather Walsh, is currently in protective custody. Your security officer attempted to access restricted areas and has been detained. Carter kept his face neutral despite the news about Simmons. I represent Earth. I have diplomatic immunity under standard galactic law. Not when charged with crimes against galactic security. Kralvox gestured to the guards. Bring him. They led Carter through corridors he hadn't seen before. Other aliens stopped to watch as he passed. Some looked curious, others fearful, a few openly hostile. News of his detention had clearly spread throughout the station. The tribunal chamber was smaller than the main council room, but designed to intimidate. 7 council members sat on an elevated platform. Carter recognized Ziv Korath at the center. The draconian General Cragg sat to his right, scales dark with anger. A slender, pale alien with large violet eyes stood as Carter entered. This was Tylia, the Aloran representative. The Alorans were known for their commitment to justice and their empathic abilities. This tribunal is now in session, Ziv Korath announced. Ambassador Daniel Carter of Earth stands accused of espionage, concealment of military capabilities, and presenting an existential threat to galactic harmony. Carter stood straighter. I deny all charges. Earth came in peace. General Cragg slammed a clawed hand on the table. Peace? Our intelligence operatives discovered your hidden fleet, your weapons platforms disguised as asteroids, your species prepared for war while speaking of peace. Preparedness is not aggression, Carter replied calmly. Earth has the right to defend itself. Talia raised her hand. Ambassador Carter, as an empath, I sense you believe in your mission of peace. But we have evidence that Earth has developed quantum disruption technology, a weapon banned by council law. Carter remained silent. Earth had indeed developed such technology, but only after learning of the council's habit of pacifying new member worlds that showed too much independence. Mevdal, the intelligence director, stepped forward. The small, gray alien's large black eyes showed no emotion. We have intercepted communications from your vessel to Earth, messages encoded with military protocols. Why would a peaceful mission require such security? All diplomatic missions use secure channels, Carter answered. Standard practice. You were told to provide all communication codes to Council security upon arrival, Kralvox said from behind him. We provided the diplomatic codes as required. Military channels are protected under Article 7 of the contact protocols that your own representatives gave us. General Cragg laughed, a harsh sound like grinding stones. He cites our laws while breaking our most sacred rule. No species may maintain weapons capable of threatening the Council. For hours, the questioning continued. Carter defended Earth's position with the skill that had made him humanity's chosen representative, but he could see in the council members' eyes that their decision had been made before he ever entered the room. Far away on Earth, Defense Secretary Alan Russell and General Patricia Dawson watched the proceedings through a classified feed. Earth's hidden observation systems had managed to breach the Council's security network. They're going to make an example of him, Russell said quietly. General Dawson nodded, her face grim. The President needs to know. We should activate the defense grid now. Wait. Russell held up his hand. Carter still might find a diplomatic solution. We need to give him every chance. Back on Proxima Station, the tribunal reached its verdict. Ziv Korath stood, his silvery skin reflecting the chamber's harsh lights. Ambassador Daniel Carter of Earth, this tribunal finds you guilty of all charges. The sentence is... He paused, looking directly at Carter. Molecular disintegration, to be carried out immediately. A murmur ran through the chamber. Talia stood in protest. High Arbiter, this sentence is excessive. The human should be returned to Earth with our terms for peaceful integration. The decision is final, Ziv Korath replied coldly. The Council has determined that a clear message must be sent to Earth about the consequences of deception. Guards moved to Carter's sides. He knew what molecular disintegration meant, a painful death designed to terrify those who watched. The Council intended to broadcast his execution across their space as a warning. On the USS Horizon, still docked at Proxima Station, First Officer Gregory Howard received an encrypted message from Earth Command. Extraction protocol authorized. Recover all personnel immediately. Howard turned to his crew. Prepare for emergency departure. Security teams stand by for breach and recovery operations. Meanwhile, in a secure holding area, Heather Walsh sat on a narrow bench in her cell. The door suddenly slid open. A human man in a council maintenance uniform stood there. Walsh? I'm Ryan Pierce. I've been undercover here for months. We need to move now. He handed her a small weapon. Carter's been sentenced to death. We have minutes at most. In the tribunal chamber, Carter was led to a raised platform. A device that looked like a metal ring hovered above it. He knew this was the disintegration field. Your species will join the council on our terms, Zivkoreth told him. After today, they will understand the price of defiance. Carter looked directly at the recording devices he knew were transmitting to council worlds and secretly to Earth. You've misunderstood us completely, he said, his voice steady and clear. We came in peace, but we prepared for war. Remember this moment. You chose what comes next. General Cragg growled. Activate the field. The metal ring began to glow with blue energy. Carter stood tall as the field activated around him. Pain like nothing he had ever experienced flooded his body as the molecular bonds began to break down. His last conscious thought was hope that Earth would receive his final message. On Earth, the classified feed went dead. General Dawson closed her eyes briefly, then turned to her staff. Send the authorization code. Full defensive posture. And get me the president. Secretary Russell stared at the blank screen. They just made the biggest mistake in their history. Across the solar system, hidden defense platforms began to power up. Disguised ships revealed their true nature. Earth's long-prepared annihilation protocol moved from theory to reality. Back on Proxima Station, alarms began to sound. The USS Horizon had broken docking protocols and was powering up its engines. In the confusion, Heather Walsh and Ryan Pierce fought their way toward a small hangar where emergency escape vessels were kept. We need to get this information to Earth, Pierce said, holding up a small data crystal. Complete records of the trial, the Council's defense systems, everything. Heather nodded grimly. They'll pay for what they did to Carter. As they commandeered a small Council courier vessel, neither of them knew that Earth had already begun its response. The Annihilation Protocol had been activated and the galaxy would never be the same. The United Nations General Assembly Hall was silent. 400 representatives from nations across Earth sat in shocked stillness. The massive screen at the front of the hall showed only static now, but the image of Ambassador Carter's execution had burned into their minds. President Eleanor Bennett stood at the podium. Her face was pale, but her voice remained steady. What you have witnessed is an act of war, she said. The Galactic Council has executed our emissary without just cause. They have shown their true intentions toward Earth and humanity. She paused, letting her gaze move across the assembly. For decades we have prepared for this possibility. While publicly pursuing peaceful contact, we have quietly built our defenses. The stories we told in our books and movies about hostile aliens were not just entertainment. They were preparation, preparing our minds for the reality we might face. Murmurs spread through the hall as many representatives realized what she meant. The countless alien invasion stories, the science fiction about interstellar war, they had been psychological conditioning for humanity. I am now authorizing the implementation of the Annihilation Protocol, President Bennett announced. This is not merely retaliation. This is ensuring the survival of our species. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Director Keith Harrison stood in a control center, unlike any other on Earth. Banks of computers lined the walls. Men and women in uniform moved with practiced efficiency. Authorization confirmed, said a technician. Presidential codes accepted. Harrison nodded. Activate all defensive systems. Bring the orbital platforms online. Across the solar system, what had appeared to be ordinary asteroids and space debris began to change. Metal panels slid aside, revealing weapon systems and communication arrays. Within minutes, Earth had a defensive grid extending from Mercury's orbit to beyond Jupiter. Alert the fleet commanders, Harrison ordered. Operation Slingshot is now active. In a secure conference room at the Pentagon, General Patricia Dawson addressed the Unified Military Command, leaders from every major Earth power. The Annihilation. Protocol has 3 objectives, she explained, pointing to the display behind her. First, we protect Earth from immediate retaliation. Second, we eliminate those directly responsible for Ambassador Carter's execution. Third, we force the Council to recognize humanity as equals, not subjects. A Russian general raised his hand. The Council believes we have only a small defense fleet. When will they discover the truth? They're about to find out, Dawson replied, with a grim smile. Our stealth fleet is already moving into position near key Council worlds. Another officer spoke up. What about our colonies? The Council doesn't know about them yet. The colonies will remain under stealth protocols until Phase 3, Dawson explained. Then they'll reveal themselves simultaneously, showing the Council that we've already expanded beyond their knowledge. Near the orbit of Neptune, a massive vessel emerged from its hiding place in a dwarf planet's shadow. The ship was over 2 kilometers long, the flagship of Earth's hidden fleet. On its bridge, Admiral Joseph Martinez watched as hundreds of similar ships appeared across the solar system. Begin system-wide communications blackout, he ordered. No signals in or out except through our secure channels. Earth had gone dark, to the galaxy, cutting all previously established communications with alien civilizations. The Council observers stationed near Jupiter suddenly found themselves unable to transmit. Before they could react, their ships were surrounded by Earth vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere. Meanwhile, in a stolen Council courier ship, Heather Walsh and Ryan Pierce navigated through an asteroid field at the edge of Council space. They had narrowly escaped Proxima Station during the chaos following Carter's execution. How much longer until we reach Earth space? Walsh asked, checking the unfamiliar alien controls. 3 days if we push the engines, Pierce replied. This ship has stealth capabilities the Council doesn't know I'm aware of. We should be able to avoid detection. The ship's AI interface, which Pierce had reprogrammed and nicknamed Charlie, spoke through the console. Warning, Council pursuit vessels detected at extreme range. They really want this ship back, Walsh muttered. It's not the ship, Pierce said. It's what's in it. He tapped the data crystal containing the complete record of Carter's trial and execution. This is evidence of their violation of at least 7 galactic laws. Even by their own rules, they acted illegally. Walsh stared out at the stars. Will it matter? After what they did to Carter, Earth won't be interested in taking this to some galactic court. No, Pierce agreed. But it will matter to other species in the Council. Not all of them agreed with this action. This evidence could split the Council. Give us potential allies. Charlie's voice came through the speakers again. Incoming transmission from Earth Command. Coded channel. Walsh and Pierce exchanged looks of surprise. How did they find us? Walsh wondered. Standard emergency protocol, Pierce explained. All deep cover agents have quantum-linked communicators. Earth always knows where we are. The message was brief. Annihilation protocol activated. Return to coordinates attached. Authentication. Midnight. They're really doing it, Walsh whispered. The full protocol. Pierce nodded soberly. The Council has no idea what they've started. Back on Earth, President Bennett met with the Security Council in the Underground Command Center. The first phase is complete, Defense Secretary Russell reported. All defensive systems are online. Our fleet is deployed. Earth is secure from immediate retaliation. What about our people still in Council space? Asked the Chinese representative. Extraction teams are already in motion, Russell replied. Most of our undercover personnel will be recovered within 48 hours. Bennett turned to Director Harrison. Status of the Quantum Disruption Network? Ready for deployment, Madam President. Once activated, it will disable Council communication systems across their territory. Their worlds will be isolated from each other. And our strike teams? General Dawson stepped forward. In position near key targets. They're awaiting final authorization to begin Phase 2. President Bennett looked at the faces around her. These men and women had worked for years preparing for a day they hoped would never come. Ambassador Carter believed in peaceful coexistence, she said quietly. He died still trying to find a diplomatic solution. We will honor his memory by showing restraint where possible. This is not about revenge. It's about security. Target. Military and leadership only. Minimize civilian casualties. She took a deep breath, then gave the order that would change the course of human history. Begin Phase 2. Across Council space, human stealth vessels moved into attack positions. Special Forces teams prepared for precision strikes against the leadership responsible for Carter's death. On Proxima Station, High Arbiter Zeev Korath was reviewing reports about Earth's sudden communications blackout when alarms began blaring throughout the facility. "What's happening?" he demanded. A Council security officer rushed in. "Our defense grid is failing. Systems are shutting down across the station." "Impossible," Zeev Korath said. "Our security is—" He never finished the sentence. The lights flickered and died as Proxima Station's power grid collapsed. Emergency systems came online, bathing the corridors in red light. The Annihilation protocol had begun, and the Galactic Council was about to learn exactly what humanity was capable of. The stealth carrier Retribution moved silently through space, its advanced hull absorbing all detection signals. On the bridge, Admiral Joseph Martinez watched the tactical display as hundreds of Earth vessels took position around key Council worlds. "Status report," Martinez ordered. His second-in-command responded promptly. "All ships in position, Admiral. Phase 1 is complete. Earth is secure, and the quantum disruption fields are active across Council space. Their communications network is down," Martinez nodded. "Begin Phase 2. Throughout Council territory, carefully hidden human agents activated dormant systems that had been placed years ago. Council military vessels suddenly found their navigation and weapon systems locked. Defensive grids around important worlds flickered and failed. The backdoor access points that human infiltrators had planted were now being used to devastating effect. On a Council military base orbiting the draconian homeworld, General Cragg roared in anger as reports flooded in. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "The humans had only basic warp technology," a subordinate cowered before him. "Sir, we're detecting hundreds of ships appearing near our defense platforms. They're using some kind of advanced stealth technology we've never seen before." "Launch. All fighters, activate the planetary defense grid." "We can't, sir. The systems aren't responding, and we've lost contact with High Command." Craig's scales darkened with rage and fear. "Send messengers to the other bases. We must coordinate our—" The door to the command center slid open. A team of humans in black combat armor stood there, weapons raised. At their lead was Commander Olivia Reeves, one of Earth's top special operations officers. "General Cragg," she said calmly. "By authority of Earth Command, you are being detained for your role in the illegal execution of Ambassador Daniel Carter." Cragg reached for his weapon, but found himself unable to move. A small device on Reeves's belt emitted a field that temporarily paralyzed draconian nervous systems, another technology the Council had no idea humans possessed. Similar scenes played out across Council space. The humans struck with surgical precision, targeting only those directly responsible for Carter's execution while avoiding civilian casualties. Council prison worlds were liberated. Military bases were disabled rather than destroyed when possible. Into orbit around a gas giant in the Arcturus system, Heather Walsh and Ryan Pierce's stolen courier ship emerged from faster-than-light travel. They were met by an Earth vessel 3 times the size of any ship the Council knew humans possessed. "This is the EDF Vigilance," came a voice over their communication system. "Identify yourselves." "This is Diplomatic Aid, Heather Walsh and Special Agent Ryan Pierce returning with critical intelligence from Proxima Station." After verification protocols were completed, they docked with the larger ship. Captain Lisa Summers greeted them in the airlock. "You made it out," she said with visible relief. "We weren't sure anyone would survive after what happened to Carter." "We have the full record of the trial," Pierce said, holding up the data crystal, "and detailed scans of Council defense systems." "That will help with Phase 3, Summers replied, leading them toward the bridge. "You should know, Earth has implemented the full Annihilation protocol." Walsh shook her head in amazement. "I never thought I'd see it activated. It was always just a contingency plan." "Not anymore," Summers said grimly. "The President authorized everything. Right now, Special Forces teams are capturing the Council members who voted for Carter's execution. And the colonies? Pierce asked. Are they revealing themselves? In 6 hours. The Council is about to learn that humans aren't just on Earth. We've had stealth colonies for decades. On the Arcturian homeworld, High Arbiter Ziv Korath stood at the window of his private chambers, watching as strange ships appeared in the sky above the capital city. The planetary defense grid, considered the most advanced in the galaxy, had shut down completely without firing a single shot. His aide rushed into the room. High Arbiter, we've lost contact with all Council worlds. Our fleets are reporting their systems have been compromised. How? Ziv Korath demanded. How could the humans have this level of technology? I don't know, sir, but there's more. We're receiving reports of human settlements appearing throughout the outer territories. Dozens of colonies on worlds we thought were uninhabited. Ziv Korath sank into his chair. They were never the primitive species we thought they were. They showed us only what they wanted us to see. The communication system in his office activated without his command. A human face appeared on the screen. President Eleanor Bennett. High Arbiter, she said, her voice cold. Your forces are disabled. Your leadership is being detained. Your council is dissolved. This is an act of war, Ziv Korath protested. The other species will do nothing, Bennett interrupted. Half of them are relieved to see the council's power broken. The rest are in no position to fight. We could have destroyed you, Arbiter. Instead, we chose precision. Remember that. The screen split to show another image, the quantum disintegration chamber where Carter had been executed. Standing there, now was General Cragg, held between two human soldiers. Your general will not be executed, Bennett continued. Unlike you, we abide by galactic law. He will face trial for his crimes, with full rights of defense and appeal. That is the difference between us, Arbiter. Ziv Korath stared in disbelief. What do you want? You executed our emissary. Now you will negotiate with our admirals. A transport will arrive shortly to bring you to our command ship. Be ready. As the communication ended, Ziv Korath looked again at the human ships hovering over his city. They had positioned themselves in a perfect defensive formation but had fired no weapons. The humans had the power to destroy his civilization but had chosen restraint. Perhaps, he thought, that was the most frightening thing of all. In Earth's solar system, Phase 3 began as the hidden colonies revealed themselves. Ships emerged, from camouflaged bases on moons, asteroids, and even within the atmospheres of gas giants. What the Council had believed to be a single planet species suddenly showed itself to be a thriving interstellar civilization. On Mars, Governor Maria Chen addressed the now public colony of 2 million humans. For generations, we have hidden our true numbers and capabilities. Today, we stand with Earth openly. The Council's threat has been neutralized. The crowd cheered. After decades of secrecy, they could finally acknowledge their existence to the galaxy aboard the Retribution. Admiral Martinez received confirmation that all objectives had been achieved. The Council leadership had been captured. Their military capabilities had been neutralized. Earth's colonies had revealed themselves without incident. Admiral, his communications officer called. Message from Earth Command. The President is requesting a status update. Martinez straightened his uniform. Tell her Phase 2 is complete. All targets secured with minimal casualties. Phase 3 is proceeding as planned. He looked at the tactical display showing Earth's ships positioned throughout Council space. What had begun with the execution of a single human had resulted in the complete reorganization of galactic power. The Council thought we had a few hundred ships, Martinez told his officers quietly. They never imagined we had thousands. The Annihilation protocol had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. Now came the hard part, building a peace that would last. 6 months passed. The massive space station orbiting Saturn gleamed in the sunlight. Named New Horizon, it had been built by human engineers in just 3 months, a feat that further demonstrated humanity's hidden technological capabilities. Inside, the station's Grand Assembly Hall, representatives from 17 former Council species gathered. Some came willingly, others because they had no choice. At the center of the hall stood Ambassador Lisa Winters, who had been appointed to replace Daniel Carter. "The final session of the Transition Council will now begin," Winters announced. Her voice carried throughout the chamber without need for amplification, another subtle demonstration of human technology. Civ Koreth, no longer bearing the title of High Arbiter, sat among the delegates. His once proud posture was now subdued. 6 months of watching humanity's true power emerge had changed him profoundly. "Let me be clear," Winters continued, looking around the assembly. "Earth could have destroyed your civilizations after the execution of Ambassador Carter. Instead, we chose a targeted response. The old council is dissolved. In its place, we propose the Galactic Accord: equal representation, technological exchange, and mutual defense." An Aloran representative named Talia stood. She had been one of the few to speak against Carter's execution. "We support the proposed accord. The Aloran people have witnessed humanity's restraint. Despite your overwhelming military advantage, you chose precision over devastation. This speaks well of your species." Others joined in support, particularly those who had chafed under the old council's rules. The Vedrani, a species known for their scientific achievements, were especially eager to exchange knowledge with humans. Not all reactions were positive. The Vex Collective's representative, a crystalline being who shimmered with internal lights, rose to speak. "How can we trust that humans won't use their hidden technologies against us in the future? You deceive the galaxy about your true capabilities." Winters smiled diplomatically. "We concealed our capabilities because history taught us caution. Earth studied the records of other species who joined the Council. Those who revealed all their technologies quickly found themselves relegated to subordinate positions. We chose a different path." "And the punishment of those responsible for Ambassador Carter's death?" asked a reptilian delegate from a minor draconian world. "What happens to them now?" "They have received fair trials according to galactic law," Winters replied. "Unlike what happened to our emissary, they were given full rights of defense. Those found guilty are serving appropriate sentences. We believe in justice, not revenge." The discussions continued for hours as the final details of the new Galactic Accord were settled. When at last the agreement was reached, representatives from all 17 species pressed their hands or appendages to the treaty terminals. A new era of galactic politics had begun. Later that day, aboard the Earth diplomatic vessel Unity, a memorial service for Ambassador Daniel Carter brought together humans and aliens alike. President Eleanor Bennett had traveled from Earth for the occasion. "Daniel believed in peaceful coexistence," she said, standing before a simple monument bearing Carter's image. "The Annihilation protocol was necessary to show our strength, but his vision will guide our future. From his sacrifice, a more just galactic community is emerging." After the ceremony, Heather Walsh stood on the observation deck of New Horizon with Ryan Pierce. Below them, Saturn's rings stretched out in a breathtaking display. Ships from dozens of worlds approached the station, many seeking trade agreements or diplomatic relations with Earth. "They're still afraid of us," Pierce observed, watching an Arcturian vessel dock. "Good," Walsh replied. "Fear bought us respect. What Daniel started will build us peace." Pierce nodded toward a group of Aloran diplomats being escorted by human officers. "The Alorans have been our most enthusiastic supporters. Their empathic abilities let them see our true intentions." "And what are our true intentions, Ryan?" Walsh asked quietly. "The same as they've always been. Survival first, then prosperity. Eventually, peace." Walsh had been appointed as Earth's new Director of Galactic Intelligence. The position gave her oversight of all human operatives throughout former Council space. The network that had been built in secret over decades was now operating openly, though many of its activities remained classified. "We've received a strange signal," she told Pierce. "A ship approaching from beyond the former Council territory. They're requesting diplomatic contact." Pierce raised an eyebrow. "New players entering the game?" "Looks that way. They claim to represent a coalition of species who have been watching the conflict. They want to establish relations specifically with humans. Because we're the new power in the galaxy, Pierce said with a frown. Or because they're curious about the species that, in a single decisive campaign, reshaped the power structure of half the galaxy. On Earth, life had changed dramatically. Knowledge of alien species was now public. Technologies previously hidden were being integrated into daily life. Preparations were underway for open trade with other worlds. In a secure facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, General Patricia Dawson met with Defense Secretary Russell. They stood before a holographic display showing the locations of Earth's military forces throughout the former Council space. "The transition is proceeding better than expected," Dawson reported. "Most species have accepted the new accord. A few minor skirmishes with draconian holdouts, but nothing serious." Russell nodded. "And the ambassadors from beyond Council space? Do we know what they want?" "Not yet. President Bennett has authorized preliminary contact. Ambassador Winters will meet with them aboard New Horizon next week." "Are we maintaining defensive posture?" "Of course. The Annihilation Protocol taught us what works. We'll show openness and friendship, but keep our weapons ready." As they spoke, a signal came through on a priority channel. The unknown alien vessel had transmitted a formal greeting in perfect English. The message was brief but profound. "To the leaders of Earth, we have observed your response to injustice. We have witnessed your power and your restraint. The galaxy is changing because of you. We wish to understand those who could destroy but chose to rebuild." Across the solar system, humans waited to see what this new contact would bring. The execution of a single ambassador had set in motion events that transformed humanity's place in the galaxy. From a supposedly minor species on the edge of Council space, they had emerged as the architects of a new galactic order. On the memorial to Daniel Carter on New Horizon Station, a simple inscription summarized what had happened. "We came in peace. We stayed in strength. Because of his sacrifice, we found our place among the stars." The unknown ship drew closer to New Horizon, bringing new possibilities, new challenges, and perhaps new allies. Humanity was ready for whatever came next.